ingredients. It's really just egg whites and sugar with a little flavoring. So you just have to make sure, which I'm going to explain in depth, how to get your egg whites the perfect exact consistency. But we'll wait a few minutes because I know that more people are. We're all going to wipe down our bowl and our beaters with a little lemon juice or vinegar. So if you're using lemon juice, I already squeezed some lemon. You need very little, I mean, very little, into a little bowl. And, or if you're doing vinegar, you can do that. So fat and grease, and I'll repeat this, fat and grease are the enemy of meringues. So you don't want to use a plastic bowl because plastic bowls are harder to clean and they could have like some streaks of grease. So you want zero fat, zero specks of egg white, which we'll talk about, egg yolk, I'm sorry. So when it comes time, we'll kind of like just wipe down all of our equipment. And for a bowl, glass, if you're using a stand mixer, I'm using a stand mixer so it'll be easier for everybody to see. Or if you're using your stand mixer, then you want this whisk attachment, the big beater attachment.
That's a great idea to wipe the bowl and the whisk attachment down with the lemon juice. I make meringues and things with beaten egg whites a lot, and I've never thought to do that. That's a really good idea.
I mean, so often if you're making meringues and they're just not turning out, and you know, they're not getting the height that you need and the shape that you need, a lot of times it's because some fat kind of like got in there that that you didn't know was in there. So while we're waiting for people, because they'll be able to catch up, why don't we just all do that? So I have a paper towel and I'm just going to dip a tiny little bit in my lemon juice, and I'm just going to wipe just a little bit just around the bowl. And I'm just going to do my beaters as well.
And Beth, can you use bottled lemon juice?
I guess so. To do the wiping down part, that would be fine. But
Yeah.
to add to the actual egg whites, I think my bottled lemon juice has other stuff in it. So I'm not sure how those other ingredients would react. Let's see what's in here. Lemon juice and lemon oil. So I'd kind of maybe be worried that the lemon oil might, I don't know.
Interesting.
Try it and see. Okay, so everyone grab 3 eggs from the fridge. We are going to separate the eggs while they're cold, and then we're going to have, they're just going to sit at room temperature. Let me switch to my close-up view. Add spotlight, replace spotlight. Okay. So this is the most complicated part of the whole thing, I think, is properly separating your egg whites. So I have a 3-bowl situation here. We are going to crack each one individually. And then when you have a perfect egg white, we're going to dump it into the last bowl. So you have like a lot of times, if you get some yolk by mistake, as you're cracking it, you don't want to have that contaminate your whole thing of egg whites. So we just do one at a time. And I think the easiest, less messy way is to crack your egg whites flat on a paper towel. So let me just demonstrate. And I'm actually going to crack these right through my hand. I have paper towels ready. Okay. And then we'll talk about everything else. So I crack it. And I have a little garbage bowl right here. I already saw a shell that I'm going to take out. Okay. So I just crack it like this. You can do the shell method too if you're pretty good at separating eggs, but sometimes the shell has this jagged edge that can break the yolk. So I just get very messy. Okay. My yolk goes in my yolk bowl, which I normally save for challah, but not during Passover. Okay, so I have this pristine, wonderful, amazing egg white, and I'm going to dump it into the third bowl. So I'm going to do that 2 more times. So if you mess up here and you have a big old thing of broken yolk in your white, you just throw it out, rinse it out, and then start again. So I'm going to crack it right into my hand. Somewhere I have an egg separator, but I never know where it is. So I just do this way. Okay. Perfect, perfect egg white. Don't worry about the little white I think it's called a calazi or a calaza, something like that. The little attachment that's darker white, that can go in there. It's fine. So we're doing 3 whites. And then we'll all wash our hands.
Al netilak yadayim.
Okay, so I'm going to, now I have 3 perfect egg whites, and they're just going to hang out here while we talk about all of our other ingredients and equipment. I'm rinsing my hands real quick. If anyone else can monitor the chat, does anyone else need time for their eggs? I'm going to put these back in the fridge.
I'm happy to watch over the chat if you need me to. I don't see anybody.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Nobody.
Okay, so egg whites are easier to separate when they're cold, but they beat to greater volume when they're at room temperature. So we're just going to have these hang out until we're ready for our next until we're ready to start. Okay, so I'm just sticking my eggs in the fridge. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the items while our egg whites kind of warm up to room temperature. Normally you want to have them stay out at room temperature for like 30 minutes if you can, but we're going to condense that time a little bit so we stay on track today. Okay, the other things that we need to get organized. Okay, so you need your mixer. I'm using a hand mixer so everyone can see me better. The hand mixer is going to take more time. So the stand mixer with this beater is much more powerful and goes quicker. So I'll explain as we start beating what to look for, because you do not want to overbeat your egg whites. And so anyone using hand mixer will just take a few minutes longer. And other things, when we add our sugar, we're going to add it really like 1 spoonful at a time. So I have a tablespoon here, and I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon later of vanilla extract. I have that. And when we talk about adding a little bit of acid, I just have 1/8 of a teaspoon for that.
Oh, that's, wow, okay.
3/4 cup for the sugar. And I have a little spatula to wipe down my bowl. I have my big mixer bowl. And oh, I have to show you what these are going to look like, actually. I have some that I made the other day. I'm going to use a regular cookie sheet and put parchment, the same parchment that Sloan used earlier. This is the best product. It's totally amazing. Okay, and then actually, when we get to it, before we pipe our meringues on the parchment, you can put a little meringue glue underneath so your parchment paper doesn't move around. So we'll do that a little bit later. So I saw a couple people joined just now, so I'm just gonna tell them where we are. So I separated 3 eggs and I just have the 3 whites here hanging out, letting them come up to room temperature a little bit. And I was just going over the other ingredients. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Sarah is kind enough, or you can just unmute yourself and ask. So this is what they're eventually going to look like. And I'll show you how I made this shape. I'll do these. Okay. Let me put them. So I like to actually add little sprinkles sometimes, or this one has some glitter. And I'm going to show you how to pipe. Who is using, and Sarah can help me, or Sloan, who is using a piping bag and tip, and who is just going to use like spoons or Ziploc bag? Sloan's using a piping tip. I can't totally see every, let's see, gallery. I'm going to go to gallery. Okay, so I'm going to just show you how to, we'll do this now. So once our meringue is formed, we want to go fast. We don't want it to deflate at all. So this is a disposable piping bag, and this is the piping tip that I use to make this specific shape. And I did put it, I think, on the recipe. This is a Takeo, I think it's 869. So that's one. You can also do this like open star, which is very, very, very common, or you can do just a circle. And the other thing that you can do if you don't have a piping bag or piping tips, you can get just like a big Ziploc bag and just cut the bottom. It's just going to be a lot easier and less messy than using 2 spoons. So grab a Ziploc bag if you don't have this. And I'm going to cut. I just cut the tip off the bottom of the bag. You can get these on Amazon. There's a local cake supply called Cake Creations nearby. And feel free to just contact me and I'll tell you exactly where to get all of these supplies if you want anything. Okay, so you want your piping tip to show at the edge of the bag, but you don't want the bag cut so far up that your piping tip is just gonna flop out. And then for stability, I always fit it into a big glass and I just kind of fold it over. So it's really easy to add the meringue inside. Okay, so that I'm going to put aside and it's ready to go for when we need it. Okay. And let's move to our ingredients. Okay, we have our cookie sheet done. Oh, everyone preheat your oven to 200 degrees. If you are baking along with me, these cook for about an hour and a half, very low heat, 200 degrees. So I'll just wait a minute so everyone can get their oven preheated. And then we will go over the other ingredients. Okay. So this is going to be like this magical, amazing transformation from these egg whites into these like billowy clouds. And acid helps the egg whites sort of unwind and be able to trap in air. So typically during the year, I use something called cream of tartar, which is actually a byproduct of winemaking. And I just noticed that this cream of tartar expired in 2018, so I need to buy some more. My favorite spice company is Penzeys online. So I just think that their products are really, really high quality. So I obviously need to order another one of these. But during Passover, you can add an acid 2 other ways. I'm going to add a very small amount of lemon juice. You can also do like plain vinegar, like plain white vinegar is fine as well. And you need very little. So I'm going to use like 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I have that ready to go when I am ready. So you want your meringue to not taste gritty. You want it really, really smooth. And the sugar has to dissolve, and we're going to actually like use our hands later to make sure that there's no grit. And the best way to kind of give yourself a hard head start on this is instead of using regular sugar, we use this baker's sugar, which is ultra fine. And if you don't have this, another way is to put regular sugar in the food processor. But I don't know about you, but I cannot stand taking out my ginormous food processor and then having to clean everything and put it all back. So I find this much, much easier. Super fine sugar. I'm going to flavor mine with a little bit of vanilla. And this vanilla is a little dark, but I'm actually coloring my meringues, but I think that they look really great either way. So this is the vanilla that I am using. And then for fun colors. So if you're during Passover, there's actually a couple companies that make kosher for Passover gel food color. I looked online and I think the AmeriColor has kosher gel food color and something. There's a website, ohnuts.com. They sell a few items that are kosher for Passover. So you don't want to use the food color that you would buy in the aisle of the regular grocery store because it's too liquid. So for you don't want to add something that's going to deflate your egg whites. So I just use a very small amount of this gel food color, but you don't have to. You can totally leave it out. And you can kind of use any sprinkles, anything else to make them fun. You can add chocolate chips if you want, like mini chocolate chips I would add very carefully at the end. You could kind of fold the chocolate chips in. You could add nuts. You could add all sorts of stuff as long as they're cut really, really, really like minced super fine. And you carefully add them in at the end. Okay, so we are going to start beating our egg whites. Does anyone need more time or are we ready to beat? People who are beating along with me. Okay, so let's dump in the egg whites into our larger bowl. And before I start beating, I'm actually going to pre-measure the superfine sugar so it's ready to go when I need it. So it's just 3/4 cup. And I'm just going to set this aside. So 3/4 cup superfine sugar. I'm putting it aside. All right. So I have my egg whites and I'm going to add that little bit of lemon juice right now, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon. You can add it now or you can add it in a couple minutes. It doesn't really matter. And if you're using cream of tartar, same thing, you would add it now. So you want to start slow and we are going to beat until it starts looking foamy. We're going to stay on a low speed. So I'm going to be at like speed 1. Right now, the egg whites, the proteins in the egg whites are going to kind of gently unravel. And in a couple of minutes, you'll see them start to look a little bit foamy. You don't want to increase your speed until they get a little bit more foamy looking. So it's getting there. I see a lot more bubbles. If you're using a stand mixer, this probably already happened. So if you're using a stand mixer, just wait a second until you turn up the speed. And so we're kind of all doing the same thing. Okay, I'm going to turn my speed up one more. So on the stand mixer, Tanya, you can go to like a speed 4. And now we're going to keep whipping this until they reach a speed. They're going to look like soft peaks, which I'll explain. So already that you can see that mine are already starting to get a lot of bubbles and they're starting to incorporate air. So if you're doing this on a stand mixer, you're probably at like a speed 4 or 6. And I think I'm going to be about like halfway on the hand mixer, maybe a little more. Okay, so I'm going to explain. So right now, if I pull my beaters out, nothing is really clinging to them. A little bit here. So I'm going to go like another minute or so, and then I'm going to start to add the sugar. If you're using a stand mixer, Tanya, how is it looking actually, Tanya? I'll just ask you. Can you hear me?
Hi. Okay. So it's getting a little stiffer.
Okay.
It's like
So
it
maybe
looks
just
like fluffy cream.
okay. So stop now. Just turn your mixer off until I start adding the sugar, which will just be in a second. So we'll do it together. Okay, so already the volume has probably, I mean, at least doubled, if not more. And it's starting to look like billowy and cloud-like. So now with our mixer running, we're gonna add the sugar 1 tablespoon at a time, and we're gonna let it incorporate and then add the next tablespoon. So what you don't want, we never want our eggs to be over beaten. We always want them to look like thick and glossy. So ask questions, and thank you, Sarah, for monitoring the chat. And if you have questions along the way, just ask. So I'm going to turn my mixer on, and I'm going to be on high, and I'm going to add the sugar now, a little bit at a time, 1 tablespoon. On a stand mixer, you can be pretty high, like a speed like 8 probably is fine.
Beth, there's nobody in the chat. I just have to say thank you for doing this because I said I was scared of egg whites and it looks beautiful. So now I may be able to be less scared. Gorgeous.
I mean, once you do it a couple times, it's much less intimidating. But in the beginning, to hear, I'm just gonna like pour it in gradually. When you hear things like soft peaks and stiff peaks, it can be like very scary. You know what those are. So just keep adding your sugar gradually. Just always give it a chance to incorporate before you add the next batch.
Now it looks like whipped cream. Do we stop the stand mixer?
Did you already add all your sugar, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay, so just stop it for a second and then I'll explain. Okay, so I'm gonna actually scrape my bowl. The benefit of a stand mixer is that, you know, the mixer is really good at doing this for you. So it does look like whipped cream right now, and I'm going to explain where it is and then where we're going with it. Let me grab a little paper towel to put my. So this is called a French meringue. A French meringue, you don't heat the egg whites beforehand. If you're making, you might have heard of like Swiss meringue buttercream or Italian meringue, you heat the egg whites. And this, we're just baking the egg whites in the oven. Okay, so right now, this is not even to soft peaks. This is just like blah. They need to get much more stiff because they would not hold any kind of shape right now. So right now it does look like whipped cream, and we definitely want to keep on going. So we're going to go to the point where I can actually turn this over and put it over my head and it won't even move. So I'm going to go on high.
I can't wait to see that.
Okay. So on a stand mixer, just put it on high. And maybe for a minute, Tanya, or whoever's using a stand mixer, and then we'll just compare the consistency again. But this is way too loose and not stiffen up at all. We definitely need to keep going.
What's an indication that you're approaching over whipping?
If you're approaching over whipping, they will not look glossy and shiny anymore. I'm not anywhere near, I'm not even to stiff peaks at all. But so on the journey to over whipping, what will happen first is you could lift your beater out and it will stick straight up. So you're not going to be near over whipping if you're not able to first have it stick straight up. So now another thing that we want to check is if our sugar is dissolving. So I just take a little bit and go like this between my fingers, and I still feel sugar granules. So I know that I'm going to have to whip a lot longer so that the sugar dissolves. So this has a lot more to go.
Beth, what if you're already at stiff peaks, but you still feel some granules in there?
You could do it another like minute, maybe 1 minute, but not further than that. So sometimes that happens because you added your sugar too quickly, or maybe started adding the sugar a little, like maybe next time add it a little bit earlier in the process, but probably just beat it for another minute. And then whatever isn't dissolved, we can just live with.
And Beth, did you already add your vanilla?
Nope, I'm not adding my vanilla until my peaks are stiff. And then I'll add the vanilla and the color. It's going to take me a lot longer than everyone else because I'm using the hand mixer. Unless I have Sloan's special amazing hand mixer, which maybe does this better.
No, I actually broke out the stand mixer for this one.
I mean, it's so much easier with the stand mixer. It's so much quicker because you can see like the beater is designed to incorporate so much more air and it's so much more powerful. Okay, so where are we? Still, mine are blah, blah. Mine are not holding yet. If you're experienced, you can add your vanilla to stiff peaks, which is a 1/4 teaspoon, and any gel color if you want to do that, if you know what you're doing. If you were using a stand mixer and mixing for this long, they'd probably definitely be overbeaten by now. Because it just goes so much faster. If mine do not start holding their shape, I might have to pull my stand mixer and just do it really quick because I don't want to run out of time. I think I might do that just in the interest of time for everybody. Because I want you all to see how to pipe it. Let's see, I'm going to grab this ginormous mixer. I'm worried that
How, do you think this looks okay?
I can't see, Tanya. Did you pull yours out? Let me see.
Yeah.
Can you please get
Let's
all
see.
that off? Can we get all that
Is there
off?
Where
maybe
are
another-
you? Oh, let me see. Let me see. Okay. Add spotlight. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good.
Well, can I
Isn't
take
it easier
everything
on
off?
the- Remove spotlight. Okay, I'm gonna do this super quick. My 3 egg whites, and then I'll add the other stuff really quick. So weird when I test this. Sometimes with the hand mixer, it works just great, and then sometimes it just takes forever.
Can also depend on how humid it is outside.
Yeah, for sure. And it's gonna rain tonight. One.
Beth, while you're setting up, I'm just putting in the chat, in the last session, I had talked about using oranges from my tree to make chocolate covered orange peels. So I'm putting in the recipe for that.
Oh, perfect.
Not to get
Yeah.
off topic, but while you get set up.
No, that's good. That's good. Since
If you're
I'm
looking
just
for
doing
some
my last egg white.
If you're looking for an activity or a way to use up your orange trees, oranges, pretty yummy.
Sarah, we'll eat your oranges if there's extras.
Well, sadly they're not, but when we had a bunch, but I'll bring them over if there are, I promise. I know it makes me so sad to drive by people's trees all over town and I just want to pick them all.
I also have someone with little hands who might like to try picking them off of a tree.
We will have a picking party when I get them back on there. It's a little sad.
Hey, hey. You know, I'm good at picking oranges. I picked an orange from one of our neighbors' tree. I picked an orange. I can't get any more off.
When we get some more back on, we'll definitely have you over, Shmoo. I kind of almost killed the tree, so we had to we're trying to nurse the tree back to actually giving us some more oranges.
Michelle, how's it going?
It's going well. We're trying to add pink in now. But we
You
have
want
a
to show
thing-
us the, you want to show me the stiff peak?
Yeah. Oh. Is that good?
A little longer. You need it a little longer.
Okay.
So just whip it on high for like probably 1 more minute.
Okay.
And then show me again. I'm gonna try to move my phone so you can see what's happening. Oh, it's like the magic, like food TV. Very exciting. Okay, so hold it upright.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
it this way. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Did you add vanilla?
Yes, we added vanilla and a little pink.
Great.
All right, I'll let you go.
Tanya, just wait for me to start piping, I think. Do you want to, let's see. Let me just read this in the chat. Yeah, it can sit for a few minutes. That's fine.
Meringues.
Beth, someone's asking if they can start piping already or should we wait?
I think we should just wait so we're all doing it together. Okay, so this needs some more time. I think my house is like extra humid or something. I need to, not sure what's going on here. Check it again. Getting there.
Beth, can you tell us if ours is ready? Because we have like a hand mixer, but it's like a one thing. So I'm not sure.
Let me see. I'm gonna spotlight you so I can see. I think maybe another minute, Sybil,
Okay.
but it's looking good. Yeah, like 1 or 2 more minutes.
Okay.
But it's getting there for sure. On high.
On high. Okay. Thanks.
Do you think
Yeah,
we
1 or
can?
2 minutes on high.
Oh, and can we
Coloring?
use powder food coloring? Lily wants to know.
Powder.
Yeah,
Like
that's fine.
Like this kind?
That's powder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it
thanks.
should be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this is almost there. Let me just hold this up. Where is my, let me move my camera a little bit. Okay, so this peak, it's not quite stiff because it's a little jiggly. This is what you want to see, like when you kind of like move it around in the mixer bowl and then you pull it out. We want to go until this peak is a little stiffer and kind of sticks straight up, but it's very glossy. And that's what you want. You want to keep this gloss, this like marshmallowy looking gloss. When you overbeat the egg whites, they start coming apart and they look dull and they start to separate. Okay, so that's awesome. I might do one more minute, but even now, I told Tanya I would put this over my head, but I don't know if you can see over my head, but I did promise. So let's see. Not sure how I'm going to show you guys this, but
It's gonna
hopefully it's
spill
not
out.
going to. There we go. On my head. It's not moving. One more minute, I think, and then I'll add the vanilla. Not even a minute, like 30 seconds maybe. Yay, that's awesome. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla and beat that in. And then I'll add a few drops of the color. Okay, so this food color is very concentrated, so you really don't need much. I'm just gonna put a couple drops. I'm doing it bright so you can see as I pipe. But you don't have to, you can just leave them white. All right, so now we are going to pipe them. Let me just get this out of the way. You can see just how much faster it is when you do the stand mixer. Okay, so I have my little piping contraption. Now, some people just spoon it right onto the cookie sheet, but I want it to have that pretty look. So I'm just going to very carefully, and it's okay, this is not all mixed in, but I kind of like it streaky. You just plop it right into the piping bag carefully because you don't want to deflate any of the air. This is what you use to make a pavlova also. Instead of little meringue cookies, you would pipe kind of a larger base, and then you bake that, and then you can fill it with all sorts of stuff, jams and like clotted cream, whipped cream. Okay, so then I sort of like ease the mixture down. and you want to twist so everything doesn't come out. I'm going to grab my cookie sheet. And I don't want my parchment moving around, so I'm just going to put a couple little dots underneath the four corners to act like glue. Okay, so how we pipe. You want it a little up above the cookie sheet. You don't want the piping tip touching the parchment. So you squeeze, stop squeezing, and pull up. Squeeze, stop squeezing, and then pull up. Squeeze, stop squeezing, pull up. These are not going to expand, so you can pipe them pretty close together.
Beth, those are beautiful. Can you show us which tip you used? Is that like a tip with little? Okay,
It's called a Takeo 869.
So beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this one messed up. This one is going to be a trial eating one.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. You can actually make little mini pavlova. So if you have like a mini tip, you can pipe all around with like a little base, and then you can fill them with all sorts of stuff. This is a really nice tip for cupcake frosting as well.
It's beautiful.
My older daughter eats these in large quantities.
This is going to be the next thing I make.
I actually made these from my sister's wedding. We had my sister's wedding here in the backyard, and I made them for her. So now on some of these, I'm going to add some sprinkles. You add them now before you bake. And then I just think it looks really cute to add that little extra something. And if you were to add chocolate chips at the very end, like when I added the food color, that's when you would have also added little mini chocolate chips or nuts, like pistachios that are like, or almonds or something like that, or walnuts that are super chopped really, really fine. And you would just really gently fold them in because you don't want to lose any of this air. So I am going to put these in my oven at 200, and then I'll explain what to do next. And I really want to see everyone else's piping and what they look like. So I'll come right back. I'm going to set my timer. And I'll explain how you know when they're done as well. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to see everyone else's. Sybil, Tanya, Michelle, if anyone wants to, let me just switch to gallery view. And if anyone wants to show me their piping, you can just unmute and I'll do a close up. So how do you know when they're done? So they're going to bake for between like an hour and a half or an hour and 3/4, like an hour and 45 minutes. Then you'll open the oven and like, let me switch to my, where's my close up? My close up stop. Not sure exactly what happened. So I'll just go like this. So you should be able to gently peel them off the parchment. Thank you. So you'll know when they're done. They're not going to come off like this, but if you just gently lift them up, you won't have resistance. So you want to bake them until you can just gently pull them off. Then what I do is I turn my oven off and I wedge it open like a little crack. I have this like silicone pot holder that I use for things I bake in the oven, and I just like wedge the oven door open for a few hours. Sometimes I leave them overnight. It depends how humid it is, but basically we're getting all of the moisture out. So right now, baking on this low heat for a long time, we're just getting all of the moisture out. So when you open one, let me get a knife and I'll show you what it looks like inside. So it just has this little network inside.
Really beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone else have questions or want to show me? Let me go back to gallery. And most people here, I'm going to put my number in the chat. So if you make these and you have any questions, you can text me and then we can like FaceTime, or you can send me a video.
Hey, Beth, we have a question.
Okay.
So I'm having trouble coming out the top of my pipette also all over the place. How did you seal your top of your pipette?
So you mean the top of the piping bag?
Yes.
So you want to twist it really tight, and then I keep it closed between my thumb and forefinger. But also, if it's blobbing out the top, if you have a like twisty tie, just twist it tight so it doesn't blob off the top. So maybe Tanya, just like scooch it all down and then twist it really, really tight on the top. And then you can use like a rubber band or a twist tie.
Yeah, I think the next time I'll get different bags that are actually, that I can do that. But okay, this is fine.
I'll send you a link.
It's just
I'll send you a link of these bags. Yeah, it's all over.
This is awesome. I'm making a second tray. There was so much.
How long can you keep them in airtight container room temperature for how many days? I mean, I think like a week is usually fine. I'll often like put them on a like a pretty platter and just cover them with plastic wrap. But I think a week is fine. So sugar is a natural. Oh, look at that! Look at that white
Beautiful.
one. Stephen,
can you?
That's so pretty. Are you gonna fill the center with something?
Yeah, this is my first time doing any meringue, but
Oh my gosh!
I'm hoping for a pavlova.
Wow,
That's
beautiful.
amazing. That looks so good. Yeah, so
Great.
just bake them.
Beautiful.
Yeah, those look amazing.
That arrived yesterday, so this is the first time I've ever piped.
Oh,
Beautiful.
good. You did a great job. They look amazing.
That's super impressive.
I love it.
We'll see.
Looks so good. Also, Tanya, or another way to keep it from like blobbing out the top is to not overfill your bag. And then it's just really, I always like just hold it like this on the top. Otherwise, yes, everything is going to escape from the top.
Yes. Well, I think I didn't have a disposable one. I used whatever one was in my drawer, which I'm definitely disposing of after this because it's a disaster. But yeah, it wasn't like, it wasn't soft enough at the top to close it. But it's okay. We learned a lot and they're pretty fun. Plus it tastes good.
I'm going to send you the link.
Arms.
Yeah, I just get them on Amazon. And Cake Creation sells it too. This is by We Bake disposable pastry bag.
What brand are the
also has
tips?
them.
What brand are the tips that you're using?
This one, the brand is, let me put it in the chat and I'll put the number.
So I
There's
have
also-
some, I'm not sure.
Go 869. But also
a tip,
other good
okay.
tips. The
Okay,
Wilton 1M is also great. So the Wilton 1M is this open star, which everybody has, like Michael's, Joanne, Amazon. it just, I think, Stephen, did you use that, the 1M?
I don't know what it says, but an open star and a circle.
Yeah,
have-
yeah, I think that you use the 1M Open Star. It looks similar.
I have these kinds. Are these? Oh God, I don't know which one.
Yes,
This,
1M confirmed.
this that have.
So Ruth, yeah, Ruth, those are too small. So those are small and need couplers.
Yeah, those are for decorating. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. For meringues, you need something bigger, a bigger one that you don't need a coupler
Yeah.
with.
And I have a question. I have, oh, this is AmeriColor. This is the thing that you're
Yep.
using, right? Okay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
This is from the cake, whatever it's called, Cake Creation.
Cake Creations. Yep,
Yeah.
Cake Creations.
Okay, I have.
Yeah, that's
so
really
many.
great. It doesn't add any liquid
Yeah,
to what you're making.
I used it to make for fondant.
Oh yeah,
was-
great.
Yeah.
Amazon sells the
I
American
can see
gel.
my next project with Eden. Oh my God.
Oh, she'll love it. What, Sloan? What were you saying about AmeriColor?
Amazon sells the AmeriColor gel food colorings also.
And this is
And
what
then
I have.
Chef Master is also a really good brand
And this is what I
of gel
have. here.
color. Oh yeah, the disposable piping bags. Those are great. Yeah.
Okay.
You can text
just-
me, Ruth, with any other questions too.
Yeah, I just need to find those tips.
For the piping bags, I always prefer, like Beth is using, there are some piping bags that have a little bit of texture on them.
Yes, they're perfect.
I always
Yeah.
prefer this kind. I find that it's easier to hold at the top and push it down, and that things come out the top a little bit less than like Tanya was having me do with.
I was covered
Yeah,
in maroon, but it
exactly.
was so fun. Okay, let me
It's
show
wonderful.
you.
Sloan, did you burn yourself? What did you do to your finger?
No, I have a broken nail. I
Oh,
just
okay.
didn't want it to rip off while I was baking.
Hey,
So,
Beth, look.
thank you, everyone. What?
Thank you so much, Beth. It was wonderful.
I'll stay on a few minutes if anyone else has a question. And
I want
if
you
you
to
make
see
these,
what mine
everyone will
looks
be.
like.
Tanya, they're
I want
gorgeous.
to. Everyone will be very impressed
Thanks.
with you if